Please subscribe to my YouTube channel www.com@finda_blessing_gombo. Thank you. Hello, my people. Today, let's talk about joints. What is joints? Joints are places where bones meet and allow for movement in the body. Let's talk about the importance of joints. 1. They bind parts of the skeletal system. They make possible bone growth. They permit parts of skeleton to change shape during childhood. They enable body to move in response to skeletal muscle contraction. We can classify joints by either structure or by function. If talking about the function, we refers to the extent of mobility provided by the joints. Types of joints by function. 1. We got the syndesmosis, which is immovable joints. Hyperosmosis, which is slight movable joints, and the diaphosis, which is freely movable joints. This all shows the particular process within a skeletal system. Now, let's classify joints by structure. 1. We have the fibrous joints, which are immovable joints. We have the synovial joints, which is freely movable joints. And we have the cartilaginous joints, exhibit a range of mobility. Let's talk about them. 1. Fibrous joints. This is a lot of dense fibrous connective tissue and no joint cavity. These are for connecting bones that does not require a lot of movements. And there are 3 types of fibrous joints. 1. Sutures. 2. Syndesmosis, which spelled as SYNDESMOSES, syndesmosis. And the last one is conchosis, which spelled as GONPHOSES, conchosis. Talking about the sutures, we look at the skull, and the skull is the only place we can find the sutures. These contain many interacting fibers as connective tissues, connected to the periosma of each bone. Periosma is spelled as PERIOSTEUM, periosma of each bone, allowing them to tightly interlock. And this tissue eventually turns into bones or ossifies. So at middle age, the skull bones are all fused together, at which the sutures will become syndesmosis, which spelled as SYNOSTOSES. Let's talk about the syndesmosis. This is where bones are connected only by ligaments. Which are bands of fibrous tissues. We see this connecting the radius and the ulna. There, the fibers are short, which protect movements. For example, as I talked about it when we are talking about bone, that the ulna and the radius are joined together by interosseous membrane. Let's talk about the gun forces, which are like a pad in socket types of joints, which only occurs between the root of tooth and its alveolar socket converses, as the teeth are more or less embedded in, and the ligament present in it is called periodontal ligaments. Gun forces are only found in the mouth. Second joint by structure. The cartilaginous joints. In cartilaginous joints, bones are only connected by cartilage, and these also lock joint cavities and are not particularly movable. Last one, synovial joints. These are the ones that actually have cavity filled with fluid, which allows substantial mobilities, and this can be found in our limbs. Let's talk about the type of joints movements. One, we get the extension, we have the flexion, we have the abduction, we have the adduction, we have the circumflexion, we have the rotation. Let's talk about them one after the other. One, the extension. Extension, the word for extension, extend, is to extend something. Like for example, stretching your hand like this is to extend, or like stretching your hand like this is called extension. And the other one, the flexion. For example, your hand is like this, bounding, by bounding the joints together is called flexion. Bounding is like this, it's called flexion. And let's talk about abduction. Abduction, like this is the midline. This is the midline, and your hand is like this. You move your hand far away from the midline here. It's called abduction. The word for abduction, just like abortion. When you remove something far away, you remove something. And let's talk about adduction. Like this is the midline. Example, just the opposite. Like this is the midline, and your hand is like this. When you say adduction, moving your hand towards the midline. When you move your hand like this, it's just the opposite of abduction. Sorry. Move your hand. When your hand is far away like this, you move it towards close to the midline. It's called adduction. When we talk about circumflexion, it's like looking your hand like this. For example, turning in the cycle form, in your hand like this. And the other one, rotation, is by moving the body parts in the rotation. Like for example, by moving your head like this, turning the body parts. This is rotation. This is the midline. Turning the body like this is called rotation. Let's talk about the movements of the foot. So then we talk about pentaflexion and dorsiflexion. It's when you move the shell of your foot, like your foot. For example, when pressing on a cardia like this, it's called pentaflexion. And dorsiflexion is the opposite of pentaflexion. When you press your feet like this, which is a pentaflexion. Dorsiflexion is when lifting that same foot up like this. It's called dorsiflexion. Talk about the movements of the hand. In anatomy, this side of the hand is called the anterior, and here is the posterior, and this is the face, this is the back. So now let's talk about the movement of the hand. We can classify it as the pronation and the supination. When we are talking about the pronation, then this is the surface of your hand, which is the anterior surface. This is the anterior side. When you talk about pronation, by turning this face of this hand, turning it down like this, is called pronation. So when you are talking about supination, it's just like the opposite. This is the back surface of the hand, which is the posterior, turning it down like this. So the front of the hand to show up is called the supination. Talk about the hyperextension. Hyperextension, like this is your hand, which are the 90 degree. This is the normal stretch of your hand. As you can see, this is the normal stretch of your hand. Hyperextension, when you are stretching your hand like this, stretching it beyond the normal length of the hand, is called hyperextension. Stretching the hand beyond the normal length. Thank you.